Hey, so here's part 2 of our tutorial, and after the end of part 1 we had our head and our basic helmet outlaid. So I'll just hide the helmet and the head, and we kept also this, which is our lower resolution flat version of the helmet, and you'll find out why later. So what we're going to want to create next is an area slightly raised on the top here, which is going to be a different material, I think. So we want our original helmet outline here, and what we're going to do is draw out on here, or select on here, using the face select, the area which is going to be raised. So it's going to be a shape something like this. It's going to be more rounded when we're eventually finished, but for now we'll just shape it like this, and we'll round it later. A lot of this early modeling is just about getting the major features in, blocking out the large parts, and we go in and add in the refinement and the finer detail later. Okay, I think that's good. So with this part here, we'll actually what I'll do is, first of all, I'm going to make another duplicate of this just before I alter it. And okay, let's delete those faces. Okay, so now we've got this section on its own, which we will select all the faces of again, and we'll again E to extrude, enter, S to scale. Actually, no, we're just going to extrude this straight up. Okay, so probably about that much. Now let's put our helmet back into view. So see, this is going to be a raised section on top of the helmet here. I want it to be a little bit rounded. So what I'm going to do is grab the front center vertex here, and we're going to hit G to move this, and double Y to move it in the local Y axis. So we move that out. Now we're going to select this and the other side because we want it to be symmetrical. G, and again YY, and we drag that out. So we begin to get this shape here. Now I want to round also maybe a little bit off on these corners. So we'll select those, and again G, Y, and we'll bring that back a little bit. So we're beginning to get the rounded shape that we want. Now you can see that one also moved down, so let's bring that up. And this front one here we're going to drag down. Okay, because we still want to keep the rounded effect to it. We don't want it to be a flat top. We still want to follow the curved profile of our head. You see these ones at the back corner here maybe have dropped down a little bit, so we'll bring those up. We'll sort out a lot of this issues with smoothing later. It will make our edges more rounded, but so we probably also want to move these out a little bit, probably this in, because we want this to be kind of rounded like this. So I'm going to do that using the sculpt tool. I'm going to go into sculpt mode and I'll use my grab brush. Just resize that, and I'm going to drag that in a little bit. Something like that. Switch back to our edit mode here. And drag it back there and down. Now don't worry too much about getting a symmetry, because we'll use a symmetry modifier to this, or a symmetry feature to this later. So right now I just care about getting the shape and how we want it. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. Now let's preview it with the modifier added. So we'll add our subdivision surface modifier, and we also want to change our shading to smooth. Okay, so there is our raised area. Now you can see there we've got these kind of rounded corners. They're a little bit too soft. I want those to be a little harsher on the corners there, especially on the bottom here. I don't want it curving inwards. This looks like it's some kind of squishy organic surface placed on top of our helmet. It doesn't really fit with the style of everything. So we go back over to our edit mode. I'm just going to turn off that smoothing for now. Make it flat. We'll go back to our edit mode. Okay, so we just want to add our holding edges again, same as we did before. So I'm just going to hide my helmet for now. And we grab our loop cut tool. And again, we're just going to go around and add these holding edges to the areas where we wish for it to be kept hard. Now on the bottom here, we want also a holding edge here. So the way we're going to do this one is we'll get our edge select, Control E, edge loops. Doesn't quite select the loop for us. I'm not so fussed about that because it's going to be hidden anyway underneath of our objects. So okay, loop cut again. Now I don't want this to be super sharp, but I don't also want it to be really smooth. So if I add that one, it's far enough away to give it some smoothness, but not so far away. It doesn't look good. You see, the more I move this down, you see the smoother it gets in the background there. And the further I bring this up, the tighter it will be. So probably here is good. Okay, happy with this. Hit smooth shade, and there is our shape for our skull caps. Let's put our helmet back in. Now you can see it looks more realistic, more like a hard part on top of our helmet. Now I do want to move it down a little bit. It's sticking up a little bit too high. But then you see the rear begins to disappear. So let's scale it a little bit and maybe rotate it ever so slightly forwards. And then we'll move it down again. Maybe rotate a little bit more. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Alright, so there is our surface there at the top. Now maybe at the back here I want it to blend in to the helmet maybe a little bit more than that, I'm not sure. I think I'm kind of good with that for now. We're going to be adding some stuff around the rear here anyway, so okay. So there's our little bit on top of the helmet. Now on top of this I want to place another object. It's going to be like some kind of X-ray device or laser beam device or whatever it is you want it to be. Now you'll notice this isn't symmetrical, so we'll just come over to our sculpt tools and I'm going to apply the symmetry, so now it's symmetrical on both sides. So let's also label this helmet top. Call it helmet top. Okay, so we keep all of our helmet parts together. Let's hide those, and then we're back to our basic helmet shape again here, and we're going to take a part of this which is going to be used then to form a section which goes on top of our object. So again I'm going to duplicate it, hit H to hide it, we'll tab into edit mode. Okay, so that's what we had selected earlier. Now I want to have an object which is going to probably be about this area here. So face select, we're going to fill this. And this. This. Okay, so that is going to be our object which goes on top of the head. Maybe I want to bring it forward one and remove a line there. Okay, I think I'm good with that. So I'll hit X, delete the faces. Let's put our helmet top back into view. Okay, let's select all of our faces and I want to extrude this upwards quite far, say that far. Let's just check everything lines up. Alright, I think I'm good with this. Right, now we're going to select the rear edges here because we want this to slope from the front to the back. I also want it to slope down the sides. So we'll start maybe with the front profile. So grab our edge select, and I want to select all of these edges here, and then we're going to drag those down. Like so. We'll select these edges and also we'll drag those down so we get a slight very slight curve to this. Then we'll drag our, come back over into object mode, and we're going to symmetrize this so we have the same on both sides. Now we probably want to move the center down a little bit so we have a flatter top, something more like this. Okay, and then we're going to work on the rear here, which is going to be dragged down. Probably these two center parts also. And these two parts. So we're beginning to form the shape that we want here for this device on the top. Now let's throw in our subdivision modifier again. Now you can see that that obviously makes it very blocky, and it's not exactly how we desire it to be. We want those hard edges again in some places. So again, we're just going to add in our edge geometry. So we grab our loop cut tool, and we're going to add loop cuts in here, which will give us our hard edge there, and we'll add one in here, which will give us our hard edge at the front. Just hide these parts. And we're going to want one also at the bottom, even though we can't see this part because it's hidden inside the helmet, but just for completeness sake. We're also going to want it in here. And that loop cut will also do our top edge for us. And then we're going to want again at the back. Okay, now I don't want to give these ones necessarily the hard edges because I want those to be a little softer and rounded. So let's go back into object mode, and you'll see now we're getting more of our shape that we want. We'll hit smooth so it's shaded smooth. Let's make our other parts visible. And there we go, now we're beginning to get this here. Now I don't quite like how rounded it is at the top here. It's a little bit too rounded for my liking. I want that to be a little bit more machined and mechanical looking. So let's go back into our edit mode. And what I want to do is drag those down here at the front. So we select all those vertices. Oops. Okay, just going to hide this again. Alright, actually I don't want those bottom vertexes. So now I've got all of this, we can just move that down. Then I'm going to do the same here. Oops, it looks like I missed the vertex at the rear there when I was doing this. Let's make sure that I've got everything selected. We'll move this down. I may want to unselect those at the rear and also unselect this. Okay, and then again. So it's kind of going to be a bit lower profile than what we had before. Okay, on this corner here. Move that down as well. And this one. Okay. I'm going to go back over to my object mode and I'm going to symmetrize this. So that's a little bit lower, yeah. I think I want to harden up this edge here, make this a little bit more defined. So again, I'll grab my edge loop tool. I'll throw that in, not too close, we don't want it to be too tightly packed, but just enough to give that a little bit of an angle. Just a little bit of definition to it. Again here also. Yep, I'm good with that. Now symmetrize again. Throw in the rest of our parts. Okay, that's beginning to look a little bit better, a little bit more machined and mechanical like. However, I'm disappearing at the back here. So let's see how much. Alright, it should be something more like that, which still makes my front a little bit too high. So we'll go in and just adjust the front again. Now our rear is good. We just want to move these front parts, these front elements here. And everything at the front actually wants to come down. So we'll select all of these. At the front, and we're going to bring all of these down. So we just missed one there. Okay, that's better. Like that. Might just want to now move that, also the middle ones down slightly. So I'll select all of these. Bring that down. Also this one as well. And this. Alright, let's take a look at that. Okay, so now we've got a nice machine quality to this. It's harder kind of edge there. Something funny just going on there. This junction here, I guess. Let's move that down a little bit more. Okay, actually what I can probably do is remove these edges here. So we select this face and this face and we hit F, and that will combine them. That face and hit F. Get rid of this bump that we've got here. It's quite defined. Okay, let's select the center vertex. I see the problem there. We have two vertexes which aren't joined. You may sometimes find that you get this, so what we want to do, and that's what's causing our kind of uneven topography there. So we want to select these two vertexes together. So I'll select this, and we'll go to merge. Okay, there we go, and now that's got rid of that problem that we had there. Symmetry again, so we've transferred across. Okay, alright, so there is our head part. Again, this is just blocking out the major shapes. We're not putting any detail into it yet. So that's basically enough for part 2 of this tutorial. In part 3 we're going to continue adding in the major features. We're going to start working on the side part and the visor area which comes around the front of our model. So just save this. Let's just save this here. T1. Okay, if I open up my kind of finished model here, so that's basically what we're going to be working up the building. So in the next part of the tutorial, we're going to start looking at this side part here and the visor around there and how we're going to begin to construct that. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. You can head over to my blog. You can download the actual Blender project files from there, and you can then, open those in Blender yourself and play around with it. So if you found this useful, please hit the like video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can keep up to date with all the latest developments and tutorials for Blender, Final Cut Pro, and Motion 5. Thanks for tuning in.